Hi, this is Osman. I'm an energy healer, yoga and meditation teacher, and an entrepreneur. Be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com, for more information on our services and contact information. Also, remember that our therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. If you have a medical condition, be sure to consult with a qualified and licensed medical practitioner in your locality. So I wanted to explain my protocol on critical care recovery. When I'm doing, usually with critical care recovery or patients that are in the intensive care unit in an hospital, and medical science has tried everything and they fear that the person is going to lose their life, and they inform the family members, and they become a DNR, or do not resuscitate, and usually family members contact me at this stage, with the hope that I can resuscitate, and generally my success rate is very high, close to 98%, right, from the ones that I have done so far. And generally, my success rate ought to theoretically be 90% plus on the level that I am, and my understanding and my level of my energy healing capacity, right, theoretically. So I'm not surprised that I have, this high level, but explaining it, so usually the person has reached DNR, do not resuscitate, right, and so the medical science has lost hope that because the person is not responding to medications anymore, right, and all the treatment protocols person is not responding, and the markers are deteriorating. So it means the person is going to die anytime soon, within days, right, usually within days or hours, and the family normally contacts me at that stage. So I normally send my energy, and usually I have to do it telepathically because it's an emergency situation. There's no time for me to catch a flight or take a transport to that location. It's sometimes, and very often in my experience, it is people, cross countries, right? So it needs me to immediately abandon whatever I'm doing and getting to, sending that energy as fast as possible, so that, I can have a chance of recovering that person. And usually by the 5th day, the person is conscious, right, is no longer in a coma or unconscious, and starting to eat food, and showing positive progress, and sitting up and talking and able to talk. And by the 10th day, usually the person is walking out of hospital, unless the doctors retain them for further tests and so, but they are capable of walking out of hospital, right, usually, by the 10th day, in the majority or most of the cases, when I'm doing critical care recovery. So how does this work is I am sending, I'm connecting, with my own development, my own life force energy, and I become extremely ill. So the more seriously ill someone is, the more drain on my own energy, that there's a risk that I may lose so much of my life force energy that it is a risk and a danger to my own life, that I may, because very often when I did it, I could feel the thread of the last bit of my life, that it's possible at this point that I can die. I feel so weak, from, sending, my life force energy. And I'm also connecting to the cosmic energy, to, after every session, to replenish, the energy that I've lost. But by the end of that 10 days, there were times when I became bedridden for almost 2 weeks. I could not even walk to the toilet. I had to crawl to the toilet, or go, on my stomach and pull myself. There were times, because I lived alone, I had no one to help me, right? And I become very, very weak and depleted. So what actually happens is my life force energy sacrificed it to save someone else, and risking even death. And I know there is that risk from the very first time I knew there is the possibility of the risk, but I didn't mind if I died saving someone's life, because I follow the Islamic faith of religion, and in the Quran it is stated that to save a life is equivalent to saving all of mankind, right? And to take a life, surprisingly, this is in the Quran, right? Most people may not believe this line. To take a life is as though you've killed all of humanity, right? With the negativity and some, extreme radical elements in the religion and the way they, perform the activities, ruthless activities and bombings and innocent people, that innocent women and children that killed, and not combat in open combat against an army that is prepared to fight against them. If the army gives up, you're not allowed to, in the religion, to fight. Or someone who surrendered, you're not allowed to kill such people, right? And you're not allowed to sneak up on people. It has to be confrontation. The person must be also prepared and in readiness to defend themselves as well. So coming back to my philosophy that I'm prepared to, also it says in the Quran that don't kill yourself. So this is amounting to almost committing suicide. So many people say, now, but this is equivalent to committing suicide or the risk of suicide. You should not go into the risk of killing yourself. But this is a special gift and talent that I have. Not many people have this gift and talent. And if one has a certain privilege, with the privilege comes a responsibility. So what would you say, if I have this gift to save lives, what would you say is my responsibility? So from normal logical analysis, I have a responsibility to save the people's life because I know how to do it and I have that rare talent. And of course, I've saved so many lives, and fortunate to have had the privilege of doing that. And I'm still okay, still alive. Yes, maybe it contributed towards the weakness intrinsically towards my loss of my eyesight. I won't discount that because I started to lose my eyesight after one of these sessions. It happened. So I don't know whether it's coincidental or it's something else that it depleted my energy so much that almost instead of dying, I lost my eyesight instead, right? So I taken the risk. I went in, with understanding the risk. So I should not cry when I lose my life or lose something, but I've saved lives, right? And the caveat of this is, once a person is okay and he walks out of hospital, not that is normal, is just in a situation is using borrowed energy from someone else, from me in this case, right? Or from the cosmic energy that channeled through me, right? And this thing is not his own energy. So his own energy was unable to recover his health, and he reached that state of illness due to his habits and his lifestyle. So there's something in his lifestyle and habits that was fatal. Brought him to a stage of fatality. And all people that I treat and recover, they don't understand that they need to consult with me thereafter to get into different lifestyle habits and protocols to protect themselves and increase their own energies, not live on just borrowed energy. The borrowed energy that I sent lasts them between 6 to 12 months. And after 6 to 12 months, generally, the person is going to come back to that same point and is going to lose his life. And many of my clients, I explain this to them, but they don't believe. They believe that it was by some miracle and not through my intervention that the person came out. And they don't want to attribute that to me, recovering the patient, and that I know something in the matter. And once the person is okay, they generally stop all contact with me and don't want to listen. And I, of course, don't force people to listen to me. And generally, these people die within 6 to 12 months after that, after being recovered. Unless these patients connected with me and adopted certain important habits, which is very important for them, especially because they reached the point of death and they are headed towards that point again for sure. if they don't adopt some new protocols, right? And it's important for me to guide them through it and get into these protocols and understand that if ever you had occasion to utilize the service of any energy healer, listen to what they have to say, because someone to be an energy healer is not out to get your money. Yes, they make a lot of money, right? I mean, my critical care protocol, I charge 200,000 US dollars, right? Because there's so much of demand, and I can't spread myself across everywhere, and I'm saving a person's life, right? What's the value of life? How many billions is the value of life? And fortunately, people are able to raise that type of funds, with connecting with the relatives, friends, and the banks, and putting up the assets of security. And normally, when people get together, they can raise. It's not an unscrupulous. It is a very important, ability that I have, and I'm risking my own life. So I'm risking it for $200,000. No, I don't feel my whole life is worth $200,000. I'm not prepared to give up my life for $200,000. I'm just charging a fair and reasonable price that I feel what the value of my service is, from how many people can do and prepare to make the sacrifice that I'm making, right? So I charge, a significant amount of money that people may think. But what does medical treatment cost with your medical insurances? How many millions does it cost, right? To recover, critically ill people and to operate on you, and trauma. And I'm doing it non-invasively and naturally, and being able to do something that even medical science has failed, right? Come on a level, not that I'm more powerful than medical science, but it was that important link in the chain that was important enough to save your life, right? So how much do you attribute towards that? So these are some of the concerns that people get worried what price I'm charging, and they don't want to connect with me after they are okay, thinking everything is fine, but they are on borrowed energy and borrowed time, which is going to wear off. And once it's worn off, you're going to reach that same point again. So be wary of these warnings, when it comes to critical care recovery, and resorting to people who is going to assist in saving your life. So don't think completely. It's you have to weigh your pros and cons and make an educated decision, whatever decision that you make. Don't just dismiss something, brazenly. So I hope that information helps you. Take care always.